I'm Hazel. It's almost Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up with a brand new vlog, and Season 2 of BFA has officially begun, so that means a couple of things. Of course, the PvP season has started. There's a new affix in Mythic Plus to replace the whole Gahoon tendril thingy, and item level bumps across the board. Well, not quite across the board, across part of the board. For activities such as the Darkshore Warfront, I actually got really lucky. The quest that you do to complete one queue of the Warfront when it's up for your faction gives you an item level 400 piece now, and I did that before I went into raid on Wednesday, and I got a piece of 5-ring Azerite armor, which everybody is tripping over themselves to get. Not that particular piece, the traits are awful, but there's 5 of them, so you get 2 of the outer rings, and that adds up to being pretty good, even if the traits aren't very good. So I'm pretty happy about that. A lot of people I know have been running like Mythic Zeros to try and get more of the 5-ring gear. I'm looking at my Titan Residuum, trying to figure out what item level of piece I want to try and save up and fill in, because you really want to get all 3 Azerite slots filled with 5-ring gear as quickly as you can. I don't know, I'll figure it out. Of course, the raid launched this week. Battle of Dazar'alor is officially open in normal and heroic difficulty. Mythic and the first wing of LFR open next week on the 29th, and then LFR Wing 2 is on February 12th, and Wing 3 on February the 26th. My guides are done too, just in the nick of time, so if you are looking for a raid guide, I have a whole playlist of those that I will link down below. I am really happy with the raid. I'm so excited to be in there with my guild on my main character on live servers, like fighting the bosses and downing them and progressing and getting, well, not getting that much loot, but you know, something. We cleared normal 7 of 9. We pretty much rolled through it until we hit Stormwall, and then we stopped rolling rather abruptly. Post nerfs too, like we raided on Wednesday night, so I think that the hotfix nerfs had already gone in on that boss, and it's just really rough for us. So we progressed in that for a while, and then gave up and went into Heroic to kill Champion of Light before the end of raid night, and man, what a cool raid. I was kind of on the fence about the whole concept of the Alliance and the Horde and the storytelling pretty much all the way through the PTR, but now that I've actually gone in and done it all in order, I think that this is, as far as storytelling, and maybe as far as fights, but definitely in terms of storytelling, I think this is my favorite raid so far because, and, you know, maybe I'm forgetting stuff, but most raids in my mind kind of jump out at me as, there's a big bad thing in here, so let's fight 7 of his big bad thing themed minions that you've never heard of before. Maybe the second to last one is someone that you saw in a quest once, and then you kill the big bad thing, and then that's it until the next time a big bad thing shows up. Like, that was the story of the raid, is go get this bad guy out of their fortress, and that was kind of the end of it. And while I guess that's kind of the story of Dazar'alor from an Alliance standpoint, I really like that it's playing into the larger story of the faction in a bigger and more two-sided way, I guess. The fights also, I think, at least for me, are some of the most fun and coolest design encounters that I've seen in a raid in a long time. And I think that about almost all of them. I can't really pin down a fight off the top of my head where I'm like, oh, well, you know, that one wasn't very good, but the other ones were. I think they all play pretty well. The trash is really reasonable too, I feel like. It's there and it has some mechanics, but it's not like really annoying, frustrating trash like we've had before. And it also doesn't feel like there's too much of it. Maybe I'm just a little bit bitter from the whole Zul platform in Uldir, but this feels like a much better amount of trash. This week we also had a fresh Q&A livestream on Twitch, mostly about the season that just started. They did extra confirm that Kul Tiran Humans and Zandalari Trolls are releasing in 8.15. I think this is a bit of a dead horse to beat at this point, but they should have been at launch, really. The one excuse that they continually give for why we've had to wait this long for Kul Tiran and Zandalari is that they want it to make sense in the story, that we've really befriended them and earned their trust and unlocked them. And maybe it's just me, but I thought that's what we were doing when we ground the rep with them. You just put them in at launch. It's too late, but just put them in at launch and lock them behind the Proudmoore Admiralty and Zandalari rep. Isn't that earning their trust? We're exalted. We're all exalted. I realize that's not a very fresh opinion, but it is the one that I have. I also think that launching allied races mid-expansion like this feels pretty bad, especially because they were in the beginning of expansion marketing, but just in general. I liked the Void Elf timing, and I don't mind the Dark Iron Dwarf Mag'har thing where they're at the beginning of the expansion, because people will look at an allied race, and if it really clicks with them, they might go, I want this to be my new main. And with, you know, Void Elves and Lightforged and Nightborn or whatever, you were preparing for the next expansion, which is a great time to make a new main. And then it was a little grosser when it happened after launch because you had to level up on a different character and grind some rep, but you could still like rush through that, unlock your race, make your new character, and then try and catch up so that you are playing BFA as your new main, which is this thing. But anybody that looked at Kul Tirans and Zandalari when they were first announced like a ages ago and went, wow, that's really cool, that's going to be my new main. We're now 2 tiers into the expansion and you're still playing on your like, well, this is the character I'm going to unlock my new main on, and that just feels really awkward to me. I wish that they would do them at the ends of expansions and maybe in the beginning, but not in the middle like this. But that's just me. The other thing that they talked about in the Q&A that really jumped out at me is Ian said that in response to a question asking if we can get PvP vendors. PvP vendors are too confusing. They're hard to find, you know, maybe you don't know where they are. And our current system, he says, is more transparent and easier to get your hands on and gives you more control over your PvP gearing. I want some of whatever he's on. The current PvP gearing system is by far the most fragmented and confusing one that they've ever had. And I'm not even advocating for a vendor. I would prefer if they just took gear out of PvP entirely and just normalized stats like most PvP games. But having... if a vendor is hard to find, how do you expect them to find their weekly PvP cache? I would not agree that the current system is transparent. In the game, there's no way to really look up what your the conquest rolling rewards are even going to be. In order, you can only see the one that you're coming up on. I think you have to go, like, find a spreadsheet somewhere if you want to know what's after that and when you're going to get a certain piece you're looking for. I got a quartermaster's coin at the end of the match and had to go Google what the heck that was. I still don't know how you're supposed to get previous BFA seasons transmog from PvP sets. Maybe, I guess you just do war fronts. You're getting marks of honor, but I guess those are only for old stuff. It's not pretty, and I don't know how we got here, but I would like to go back. Moving on, another thing that popped up this week, a hotfix went out that made it so emissary rewards, weapon caches, and faction assault rewards now are for your loot spec, and not for another loot spec that you may not even ever use. I'm glad to see this hotfix go out. I am not really understanding why it was ever the other way to begin with. I have a vague recollection of them saying, well, this is the way that we did it in Legion, which isn't an answer. But it's nice to see that being changed, especially with the item level bump for those rewards. Those are actually going to be a little more useful now. And questions from this week. Motor Daffodil asks, I'm trying to level up an ult before the new raid comes out. I'm finding it so boring. Can you recommend any other good ways to level to 120 other than main quests and incursions? So first of all, I hope you made it because the raid's out. We did skip a vlog last week. Second of all, as it turns out, contrary to my predictions and hopes, incursions aren't that good for alt leveling. Like, they're okay, and if you get lucky and a bunch of them give XP, they're all right. And then the buff that you get at the end of them is fine. Like, they're worth doing if they're up, but they're not really worth just like camping out a character and waiting for. But as some people have mentioned to you, island expeditions can be pretty good. I also like to take my ults through time walking if it's up, if there are rewards that I am farming time walking for. You get a bit of XP from that, and then also herbalism. None of those methods are especially faster than regular main zone questing, but they are different, so if you need to freshen up and you're not done yet, then that's something you can try. I really like the herb one because there are spots that you can camp that are pretty free of mobs that will aggro you, so you can just kind of log in, pick a couple flowers, and log out, and you'll also make some gold doing that. Patchwork Hero asks, I still to this day haven't gotten the Draenor pathfinding. I hated Draenor. Do you have any tips to make it go by as quickly as possible? So unfortunately, I don't think there are any shortcuts for that. I think you just got to do what you got to do, and the best way to make it bearable, at least in my opinion, is to find either a good podcast or a good stream, throw that on, and just try to do like some of it every day. Like, don't burn yourself out trying to grind it all out in like a weekend, but just do what you have time for as often as you can and just kind of like peck away at it. And Barbara asks, would love to hear your thoughts on the new special pet vendors Ollie and Dodger and the lack of world quests with pet charms as rewards. So for the Ollie and Dodger thing, it is nice that they are adding cross-faction battle pet vendors, but it's weird that they don't have all of the cross-faction battle pets on them. Without that, it seems kind of pointless because they're cageable anyways, almost all of them, so you can just buy them with gold. And a lot of pet collectors that are like really serious about min-maxing their pet collections are going to end up with an opposite faction alt anyways because you're just going to kind of need one. So it's a nice idea, but the fact that they did lock that behind not only pet PvP, which is kind of RNG, but RNG on top of pet PvP, I think means a lot of people won't unlock them, and most people will just find other ways to get those pets. As far as World Quest not giving enough pet charms, I have not had that experience myself. The best thing you can do is just have a couple of 120s if possible. I only run the quests on 2 characters, but 2 characters through every Pet Charm Giving World quest has been stacking them up at a pretty good rate, and then obviously that'll get exponentially better if you can level more alts. So leveling alts is the best advice I have if you're getting stuck on pet charms. And then for pet PvP teams, the YouTuber Haruma Red X, he knows all about that stuff. I am sure he has videos and can probably get you set up. And that has been my week. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you have a question that you would like answered on a vlog, please leave it in the comments of the most recent vlog. Let me know what you think, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!